Very gently returning your attention to the world. Bring to mind the billions of people that share this planet with us. Send them love. Wish them peace, healing, joy, connection, safety, and liberation of consciousness. Wish for them everything that you want for yourself. Know everyone around the world to be your brother, your sister, your companion on the path. Know yourself to be blessed and a blessing to everyone that you encounter today. Share this consciousness with everyone. Know that you can send love and light out as if you were a beacon, drawing people to you for healing and blessing, both for them and for you, because that is the vibration that you are. Breathe. Witness your true nature. Anchor yourself in it. And know that this is you, and this is how you express every moment of every day. Own it and shine. Let's chant Om together and conclude this meditation. Om. Peace. And so it is. Amen. Last time we were all together, we talked about the first 4 sutras in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. And how when we are connected and aware of our true nature, we express from there. And when we're in a state of otherness, we have a block in our expression, and we tend to be more reactive. It briefly explains that yoga is the cessation of movement in the mind. There's lots of words used for the movement in the mind. Different mind states, sometimes fluctuations in the mental field, the turning of thought, many different things that are basically saying when there's mind chatter, when the mind is disturbed and not in a state of equilibrium and peace and, even consciousness, then we tend to get things a little mixed up. We tend to identify with things coming in through the senses, and rather than with our higher true nature. The next sutra in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, says that there are, it starts to explain the different mind states and claims that there are basically 5 different mind states and that they can be of 2 types. We're not going to go through all the different mind states right now, because then it cascades into a whole another 10 set of what those look like in action. But the 2 types is what I want to speak about this morning. All of the mind states can be either one or another in 2 states. It can be useful for awakening, the journey of awakening, or not so useful for the journey of awakening. And that's what I want to talk about, because all these mind states, it's good to understand them. It's good to be able to look for them and say, oh, I'm in forgetfulness, I'm in, dullness, or whatever it is. But to know that no matter what mind state it is, it can be helpful or not so helpful. And what is it that makes it one or the other? What makes any action, any mind state, any thought useful for the path of awakening is determined by our focus. What are we focused on? If we are, you know how it is when you are really in your practice and you're really remembering who you are and you're dead on the path, right? Straight on it. You know where you're going. You know what you're doing. You know that everything you do is juice or grist for the mill, or a part of your practice. And when you're sure of that, everything is a blessing, right? So that's when we're in the mind states that are useful for awakening. No matter what comes to us, if we know that it's all part of the process, we can work with it. Now, when we're on the other side, when we're resisting, I like to call it resisting. It's forgetfulness is, yes, we forgot that we were practicing, or we forgot that we are this and already enlightened, beautiful soul just expressing in the world and, bumping up against our different processes, right? And when we're in that state, it's not so useful. But I like to use an example for myself. This is something I always think of, is I think I was born into this life to be on this path, this particular path that I'm on, because I went straight for it. The moment I said, there's something I'm looking for. What am I looking for? And, the path of yoga showed up, and I was like, that's it. I didn't know exactly, which particular, because there's a whole bunch of different ways to go on the path of yoga. I didn't know which particular one. But early in my life, I found Kriya Yoga, and I went to listen to a great teacher talk. I found out now it was a really great teacher that I had the opportunity to meet at that time. Really, truly awakened soul. So I go to this event, and I'm, 19 years old. I go to this event, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to find out what this whole Kriya Yoga thing is about. I'm young, and I'm like, yeah, let's go, Kriya Yoga. So I go to this thing, and I sit down. I go to the front. That's bold to go to the front. And it's like this guy came from India, and most of the people there are either self-realization fellowship folks or other Kriya Yoga folks. And then there's like all these Indians in the front, South Asians in the front. And I go and I sit right down in the middle of it all. I have no idea what they're talking about. They're speaking in Hindi, and, I don't know. I don't care. I'm there. So the teacher comes out, and, there's all this stuff going on, and you know how they do yoga teachers, right? And they're treated like a god, There's all this beautiful flowers, and people are like bowing and like, oh, the teacher's here, and I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, wow, this is so foreign to me, but it's like really cool. I'm all excited. And just before they get ready to start, they explain what the program's going to be, and explaining, English is not their first language, so, you have to really focus and try to figure out what they're saying. So I get most of it. And then he says, and you can have Kriya Yoga for $5 or whatever it was. He names an amount. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you have to pay for initiation? So my mind and the mind that I came to this thing with, I don't know what was going on in me, but I was like, oh, hell no. Immediately I was like, oh, this is all BS, because we have to pay for this? This is supposed to be like freely given and blah, blah, blah. I was mad as heck. And the whole rest of the time, I couldn't hear anything. I was like this. What is this, right? Didn't get to have the experience I went for because I let that one little thing send me off into judgment about what this whole thing was about. Basically, the guy didn't articulate very well that there's a suggested donation, it goes to the teacher for the, I understand that now, but then I had never even heard of this kind of thing. It was like taking an offering, right? Like at church when, which I had come from Christian church, it's like passing the basket. Big deal. Oh, I went off. So, this is an example, and I set myself back years. I could have been on the path then, right? Which I still was, but off to the side. But I didn't know that was one of the teachers that I would have loved to have studied with. I really would have loved to have studied with him. Nalini would know, and Pam might know. So this guy is the teacher who's really tight with Roy, who was the teacher of, that guy, that beautiful guy, the young guy who came and spoke at the Kriya Yoga Congress, who was a student of Hari Haryananda Giri. His name is, I don't know. Anyway, amazing teachers. If I could have studied with them, I think I'd be like way past where I am now. But anyway, so it just goes to show you that I had an incredible moment that could have set me on the path, deeply on the path at that very moment. But the mind that I came with wasn't ready. And no judgment on even how I was then, but I wasn't ready. So, you can have a direct experience of something powerfully useful for the path and have it not be useful because of something within you that gets triggered, or some block that you have, or, it's the mind state that you're in. So I was open and ready, but I had no idea that thing was going to come up. So, you just never know. If you're in the right openness, in the right state of everything is leading me toward my goal, which, it actually did lead me toward my goal, then you will go in that direction. You may veer off, swerve here or there, but when you are committed and everything is leading you, know that everything is leading you in that direction, then everything will lead you in that direction. If you resist, you take a detour. So, we'll talk more about this because there's some really deep and intricate teachings on the mind states and how they can be useful or not useful that I would love to study with you, but it'll take a while. So sometimes we'll have these sutras and we'll be on them for a few weeks because there's a lot of components. So that's just how that goes, because it was really challenging from my understanding and from looking at the Sanskrit to English translations, really challenging to even express these very subtle realizations that happen in deep meditative study, meditative consciousness. So They're challenging to explain, but if you look into your meditation, you will be able to see snippets of what they're saying. So keep meditating deeply, and there will be no doubt that you can follow the teachings. Okay? Okay. That's what I wanted to say today. So I look forward to hearing from you where you are on the path, and any, you're even welcome, especially welcome, to ask for prayer from the group, those kind of things, if that's a need of yours. Just wanted to remind us of that.